Welcome everyone. This webinar is a part of the OpenText SolEx series presented by GlobalSense. We are going to cover off how you can accelerate your cycle times, improve compliance, and lower costs by using GCI's Controlled Document Lifecycle. My name is Tom Lilly. I'm joined here today by Phil Forshore. We are both with GlobalSense. And today we're going to cover how Controlled Document Lifecycle can improve your organizational readiness, regulatory compliance, as well as reducing operational costs by delivering workflows, reports, and other essential configurations for automating manual processes and improving existing automated processes to allow you to speed delivery of your products and services. So what is Controlled Document Lifecycle? Controlled Document Lifecycle is a set of workflows that we provide that lay on top of Content Server and offer you the ability to create new documents, revise existing documents, have a periodic review process set up so that your system will automatically remind you when you need to review your published documents, as well as the capability of retiring existing published documents which are no longer required. By implementing the solution, you can reduce your non-compliance risk. You can ensure that there's standardization across your organization. We've seen that this helps speed the review and approval cycle, and it reduces the overall costs. Customers had reported 100% workflow automation improvement, by the way. Phil is going to describe the creation process for new documents. Over to you, Phil.
Thanks, Tom. This is a conceptual flow for creating a new document. In this case, the initiator, the person who requires the new document, will initiate a workflow, which will then pass to the document owner. The document owner then decides whether the document needs to be created or whether, for example, he needs further information before sending the process forward. Then the document owner will send the document to the authors. Now, the authors will be editing the document. It's either an individual author or a group of authors, and then they would, when they are complete, pass the document back to the document owner. There may be comments, there may be requests for further information. The document owner can handle all of that. When the document owner is happy with the document, he passes it to the reviewer. Reviewers will then, be it one person or a group, will then examine the document, be comfortable the document is okay, and send it back to the document owner. They may have further requests. The document owner then has the opportunity to send it back to the authors if required. Assuming a document has been reviewed and considered in good condition, it's then passed to approvers. Those approvers, be it again an individual or a group, will then decide that the document either can or can't be published. It could be signed at that point if that's what your organization requires, or it might just require converting to a read-only format such as PDF. What we see here is an example of an initiation step for a new document. So as in our example, we've got a request for an SOP to cover remote working. In the attachment, we have a template. That template can either be edited or we can add versions to it. That document would then be reviewed and passed on to approvers if required. What we've also got, if you look on the right-hand side, are further fields required, such as, for example, the document owner, who will control the whole process. We also have review cycle. Now, the review cycle is used to trigger an event after X number of days, in this case, 365 or a year. And that will be done automatically as part of the process. We also have other fields such as document type code, location, etc. Now, those we will describe later when we look into metadata-driven processing. Then at the bottom, you can see participants. We have a routing option, author, reviewer, and approver. If we choose document owner-driven, that means that the initiator and the document owner can specify who authors, who reviews, and who approves the document. If, on the other hand, the other option, metadata-driven, is selected, neither initiator or the document owner can specify those three groups of people. Instead, as you can see in the small box in the bottom right, the metadata above, in this case, doc type code and location, are used to identify which author, reviewer, and approver will work on this document. Once this is initiated, as I've said before, it will go to the document owner, who will have a very similar screen. What they will do is pass it through the process, monitoring all the time, and assuming it gets to the approvers and they decide to approve and potentially sign if that's what your organization requires, it will then be sent on to be published.
Okay, I'm going to cover off revising. Revising can be done either manually or as part of the periodic review process. The revising process is similar to the creation process, where the doc owner receives a request to revise a document. They have the ability to identify the participants, like the reviewers and the approvers, and then based on the approvers, the revised document can get published. We support supporting documentation throughout the system. So, for example, if there was a change to a regulation, you might want to include that regulation as part of the evidence on why one needs to send this SOP, for example, for revision. We also have the ability to have proxies. So if a reviewer was not available, they can have an automatic proxy set up that would send the request to another user to complete. We have the ability to deal with delegations. So, for example, if an approver receives a request and they believe it needs to go to someone else, they can delegate their approval to another user. So with the revising, we start out with a similar request. So you can either do it manually by selecting a document and kicking off the revised workflow, or it could be a part of that periodic review that we'll talk about here in a moment. There are certain fields you still need to fill out. You attach the document that you're going to be changing, and then you can initiate the process. So in this example, we're kicking it off based on a new cleaning vendor has been required, one that's certified for, let's say, removing COVID-19. The document owner will receive the request and will choose what author or authors are required as part of this process. Remember, each of these roles, authors, reviewers, approvers, are just that. They're roles in the workflow. The same individual can be selected for multiple roles, or the document owner can pick different individuals. They can send it to groups. All of this is configurable as part of the controlled document lifecycle process. Once this revision goes through the standard process of being modified by an author, sent to reviewers, sent to the approver or approvers, it then will be published to the predefined location in the workflow. All right, Phil, do you want to cover periodic review?
Okay, thanks, Tom. So, the periodic reviewing of a document. We've already spoken about how we set how long a document gets or is left before an automatic periodic review. Now what we'll do is look at what a periodic review actually entails. So if you can flick to the next slide, thank you. It's very simple, really. We've got the document has been marked with the review cycle. So as in the previous examples, we're talking about 365 days or a year. That will the document will be automatically sent to the document owner, and it will be resting within their assignments. And they have a number of choices. One is to reset the review date. What that means is the document owner examines the document, sees no change in circumstance within the organization. That means this document needs to be revised or retired. So the document owner will specify a new, either change the review cycle or leave it alone and just reset the review date. So then in our example, the following year, you'll have another automatic periodic review. Another alternative is to revise the document. So as Tom has covered, a document revise process will be initiated automatically. The other alternative for a document owner is to retire the document. If the document ceases to be relevant, the document can be retired so it's no longer available to the organization. And a good example in our current climate is COVID-19 recommendations for cleaning, remote working, etc. A lot of that may not be required within a year's time. So those documents can be retired. Here we have an assignment that would be passed to a document owner automatically by the system. Now the system uses event actions, all part of the GCI Power Tools suite. The event action in CDL, or Controlled Document Lifecycle, gets executed 90 days before the review cycle. That gives more than enough time for the document owner and any other participants in the process to complete their work. This is obviously configurable though. This is the assignment step. The document owner can examine the data here, maybe make inquiries throughout the organization. Do we still need this? And then can make the decisions, as I've described before, based on the buttons at the bottom. So we've got reset review date, i.e. leave it for another period, revise it, so make changes that are required to make it up to date, or retire it, which Tom will be describing a little later. We've also got two other buttons there, close, self-explanatory, and also save. So this page does not have to be held open by the document owner. They can make changes, they can make notes, save it, and return to it later. Over to you, Tom.
Okay, so for the retire process, easy enough. A document's been identified for retirement. It'll go to the document owner. That document owner will view the request for retiring. Maybe it came as part of a periodic review process. Maybe it came from the business saying that this is no longer required. The document owner receives that request and then reviews it, as Phil says, does some checking to make sure that this document is in fact no longer required. And if they agree, they can then send it for the retirement. So they would initiate a workflow, put in the information, select the change type of required, and identify if they need an author to double check to make sure that this is no longer needed. It could go to it could go to a reviewer or a set of reviewers, and then it can go to the approver or set of approvers. The screen on the right shows what an approver would receive as part of this retirement process. So they would get the assignment. They could see any information on here, any previous comments describing why this document is no longer required, and go forward and either approve the retirement, reject it. This is an example of where that delegate button can show up down at the bottom. That's all configurable. And as Phil's already described, the save and the close buttons. All right, reporting, over to you, Phil.
Thanks, Tom. GCI Power Tools have a number of reporting facilities, but what we do within CDL is we report all the documents that have been through the process, and that is obviously filterable. We report on documents within the process, which you can see on the bottom left-hand side. So that's very similar to a workflow assignment, but specific to the CDL processing. And we also have a dashboard, which is an overview of the system. And in the example you see in the bottom right, under this user's assignments, they have 5 CDL assignments waiting for them. It also gives an overview of the documents within the CDL system, and all of this, again, is configurable. Tom.
Thanks, Phil. So what we've covered here is how Controlled Document Lifecycle can improve your operational readiness, your compliance, auditability, as well as by implementing this and removing manual processes, you can save time and you can reduce costs. We've gone through an easy to create new documents. We've shown you how the documents can be sent for revisions. We've gone through our periodic review cycle, which will automatically identify documents that need to be checked to make sure they're still valid, how you can retire documents when they're no longer needed, as well as the reporting so that you can keep control of the entire process. This entire system, of course, is audited and is, again, complementary to the OpenText Content Server. It installs onto Content Server, runs in that same environment. That way you're leveraging your existing infrastructure that you've already acquired. Phil?
Thanks, Tom. For more information, please feel free to go to our website. You can see the links on the screen, or alternatively, just go to www.globalsense.com. Please feel free to contact us if you need more information or if you want to schedule a demo. By the way, there is no per-user licensing on GCI Power Tools products. Every license is system-wide. Tom.
Thanks, Phil. Who is GlobalSense? Well, GlobalSense is a software company that focuses on open text content server products and services. We try to enhance and extend the open text content server product set. We've been around for over 15 years. We're a SolEx partner, which means OpenText can resell and support our products. We're considered a trusted advisor for organizations in heavily regulated or capital-intensive industries. We've got only former OpenText employees on staff. Many of us have been working with Content Suite or its predecessor LiveLink for over 25 years. Our goal is to help customers thrive in a regulated world. As we described, there are many features here, benefits to deploying Controlled Document Lifecycle. We hope you've enjoyed this presentation. We have 2 other presentations going on as part of the SolEx Expo: Controlled Change Management, as well as Document Automation. And again, please feel free to reach out to us as part of this expo or on our website for more information or to schedule a full demo. For Phil Forshore, this is Tom Lilly signing out.